Hey, good morning, fuckers, and welcome to the Daily BM, where we kick off your drive time, your morning time, or even your personal time. Have Mikey with me. What's up?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Daily BM. So glad you're here to listen to us.
Yeah, you sound like it. I said personal time, but if you could go 20, 30 minutes in your personal time, wink, wink, then, man, you're a fucking stud. That's all I'm going to say.
Takes about 20 minutes just to get it up.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You actually get it up? You ever get like the half chubs? And like you can't get like fully fucking erect?
Oh man. I gotta be honest with you, since I got my exercise and my diet and my testosterone and hormones and everything dialed in and my blood pressure, like I never had high blood pressure, but everything's down in a good, like a even better space than it was. I have not had any issues since for like the last couple months.
The thing is like, I think my thing is, it's just like, I know this sounds really fucked up, but I'm going to say it anyway. But, pornography or anything like that is boring. I know I never thought I'd hear myself say that, but it's really boring. I have no problems when I'm with the missus, but like lately when I've been like going, maybe I feel like getting a little rock off here, I'm kind of like, swipe. It's kind of like the Tinder swipe left, swipe left, swipe left. Nothing like piques my interest.
Really? Damn.
Then I see donkey porn and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm in. No, I'm just kidding.
What's donkey porn? Never heard of that.
Wait, what? That's horse, right? How does a donkey go?
Yeah, sure, something like that.
Something like that, whatever. I had my animals wrong, but whatever. Bestiality all the way. No, I'm just kidding. Joking, people. No bestiality, no animals here, okay?
That's pretty gross.
PETA or whatever the fuck your name, PETA bread, whatever they call themselves. Don't come after me because I'm only kidding.
The only time I've ever been exposed to that was back in the LimeWire days when you didn't know what you were downloading. Like it was just you click on the file description or the file name, and you're like, oh, this is going to be interesting, and then all of a sudden it's something that's like not interesting at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst ever, man. Back in people, the struggle was real in the 90s, man. People don't get it. The struggle was real as a dude, knowing that you had resources out there, but it was basically rolling the dice every time you downloaded anything from LimeWire or anything, Napster or any of that crap.
It took forever to download too.
Oh, I know. You'd be like 8 to 10 minutes and you were like, yeah, this is going to be great. Damn it, it's a fucking ad. Are you shitting me right now? And then you'd be like, fuck it, the mood's over now. After you waited 10 or 15 minutes, it went away.
I don't know. I was young then, so the mood never was over.
It was worth the wait.
The mood was never over when I was young.
Yeah, it was worth the wait.
Yeah.
But speaking of lovers, man, have you ever felt like your lover is, and I don't necessarily mean in the bedroom, but period in life, do you ever feel like they're lazy?
Lazy lovers? Yes. Yeah.
And why?
Why do I feel that way?
I mean, like, what's your scenario? Just curious. I put you on the spot. You're like,
no,
I don't know if I really want to talk about this today.
I'm trying to, I think that's a situation when you start getting in a relationship that you've been in for a while, that you get like comfortable, and then you get lazy.
Do you think it's just the women's side, or do you think men do too?
Oh, I'm sure. I know men do too. I mean,
yeah.
And I think the problem is it's different. If you're not in sync, then that's where the issue starts coming in, where she might be being lazy at one point, and then you're being lazy at another point, and you're just not in sync as far as what your feelings are. Does that make sense?
No, total. So give me some examples of like what you've run into on the lazy side.
Well, just like
let's just say not in the bedroom. Let's just say
like in the bedroom, it's like, hey, I'm really tired, just get you type situation. You know what I mean?
That's the worst. I've been there.
Where it's quasi transactional, I guess. It's like, hey, rub my back.
What is the definition of quasi transactional, just for people, because I don't know. So
So like, okay, so transactional is basically like you do this, I'll do it in return. It's like quid pro quo. Like if you give me something, I'll give you something in return.
Mhm.
So quasi-transactional, quasi just means sort of, like kinda, sorta. So sort of transactional, like, hey, if you rub my back, then we can have sex. Like, that type of situation where it's like you're almost bartering, but you're not. Um, it's less like passionate and less like movie sex. Does that make sense? Where it's like you're looking and you're looking each other's eyes and there's this burning intensity and it's like, yes,
Wait, so
this is
you
the
actually look at
this
each other's eyes when you're having sex?
no, I don't. That's what I'm saying movie
Oh,
sex is
okay.
like. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Where it's like,
absolutely. Where they're staring at each other?
yeah, where it's just like the world can be falling apart and death can be on the other side of the door, but all they can think of right now
Is tagging
is
each other.
having sex with each other because that's the only thing that matters. That's what I'm talking about with movie sex. And it's beautiful in theory. I just don't know if it's real in practical, like in real life. You know what I mean?
And the survey says that is absolutely true. It is not real in real life. That's not how it goes down ever in any
Like I'm
household.
following, like there's this guy I follow on Instagram. He's kind of an asshole. Uh like a big asshole. Let me see.
Tucker
His name's
Max.
Elliot. His name's Elliot something. Um, and let me see if I could figure it out real quick. I should have had this queued up, but of course I did not because I do not believe in being
Well, see, while
prepared.
you're looking that up, I'll just take over. I believe, like I've said before in the past, is complacency. People get complacent in relationships, and then so what
Oh,
happens is it creates. I believe complacency creates laziness,
yeah.
and laziness is the effect of complacency. Because I think with every aspect in a relationship, um, complacency can actually just kill a vibe. You know. But go ahead, continue. I don't want to. You
No,
were
you're
looking up
good.
that guy. You were looking up that guy. So go ahead.
Yeah, the guy's name, his last name's Elliot. His first name was Andy. Andy Elliott. His official Instagram handle is official Andy Elliott. He's a sales trainer. He's one of those guys. He's bald. He's got a six
I've
pack.
seen
He's
him. Yep.
ripped. He like yells at people for being out of shape, and being fucking losers. Um, right now he's on a kick with his wife where they're talking about their. He's kicking off some type of relationship product. So basically his wife's up on stage with him and they're talking about like how they have sex every day, multiple times a day, all the time, and how important that is to the relationship. But it's very aggressive. Like he's a very aggressive individual, which is fine. I mean, that's his shtick. That's his claim to fame. That's how he makes his money. That's who he is as a person. Great, no problems, no issues. Um, I'm just always curious as to the level of intensity with that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're doing it every day, multiple times a day, does that take away from n the novelty of it? The excitement, Is it like or I do people have that level of libido where it's just like they gotta have it all the time and every time is explosive? Does that make sense?
To me, that becomes more robotic. And that's just for me from the out. This is purely an opinion. If you're having
Right.
sex twice a day with your mate, okay. Now, some people maybe I might get called out on this, but I honestly believe that if you're doing that twice a day, how long can you sustain that to where it doesn't feel robotic, where it becomes part of a process of as much as you brushing your teeth in the morning? So you do it, but you don't think about it. After you brush your teeth, you just don't think about it anymore. It just becomes habit, like making your bed. If you make your bed, there's some people who don't, but I feel like it would just be part of that routine. Wake up, hey, boink my fucking wife, and then I go brush my teeth. Now I put my beard oil in. Now I make my bed. Now I'm all ready to go. Bingo.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if that's where, like, the intentionality comes behind it, Like, what's the intention behind it? Because sometimes when you have sex, there's like two different types of sex. There's like the animalistic, like primal urge sex, and then there's the deeper. emotional connection sex.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not an expert. This is just my 47 years of life experience, kind of how I feel about it.
Mhm.
Um, the primal one kind of like it scratches the itch, but it doesn't cure the rash. Does that make sense?
No, total sense.
Yeah, cool. And I gotta stop probably saying that, guys. I'm sorry. That's one of my things where when I know when Brad's busy typing and not paying attention to me, I have to add that because I don't know if he heard me.
Go
um,
ahead.
so you have that other form of sex that's that emotional connection. That's the one that I feel is more fulfilling and more sustaining than just a primal scratch the itch type
And that's
situation.
and that's where I was getting at. It's like if you're just scratching the itch, you know what I mean? It's kind of like masturbation in a way. I mean, masturbation, you do it because you're relieving stress. It's part of the process, of you getting the poison out, so to speak. If you're doing
Mhm.
that twice a day with your wife, wouldn't it I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm
That's
wired differently. I tend to think that that would be so too much of a good thing because you can have too much of a good thing.
Well, I don't that's where the intentionality comes behind it. Like, I don't are you making that deeper connection, or is it just to get the poison out? And just getting the poison out is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you have that primal urge satiated, then you're able to focus on other things better, in my opinion. Because it's strange. It's like, it's like when you're really hungry, like truly hungry, not bored hungry or,
Mhm,
all the different variations that we experience in the modern world. But I'm talking
mhm.
you're extremely hungry, your stomach's growling, you feel weak, you don't feel good. Nothing else matters until you get that primal need satiated. It's like when you're extremely thirsty, like nothing else matters until you quench that thirst. You're not thinking anything else until that primal need is satiated. And I think sex is the same thing. Like, I know for me, it's like it builds in my body. And, it's weird. It's like a clock resets. It's like, when I have sex and I have that release, then my mind now focuses on the other things that I need or want to do. I'm not as keen on women walking in the room with what they're wearing, what they look like, and things like that, because that need is being satiated. Um,
Okay.
and I don't know if you're in that similar situation.
Um, it's weird because now that I've, and again, obviously it depends on uh testosterone levels. There's so many things that come into play for a man. I'm going to speak on the behalf of a man here, not necessarily the woman.
Mhm.
But on a man's side, um, if you're just living by the laws of nature and you're not modifying the laws of nature, and what I mean by that is taking TRT, if you're not eating testosterone boosting things, libido things that will enhance your libido, and you're just talking about the nature of the human body of just as it is, right?
Mhm. Yes.
I think, and again, I'll probably get slammed for this, but I believe that whether you believe in a higher power or Mother Nature, God, however you want to put it, there's a reason why we slow down that sex drive as we get older because we're not in that reproduction phase anymore. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, I feel like that's the reason why the T starts to drop off along with things. You know what I mean?
See, I want to
Uh,
push back on that a little bit, though.
well, go ahead. Well, let me finish what I'm going to say, and then you can push
Yeah.
back. But
Yep.
I truly believe the laws of nature do that naturally, and that's the reason why you have to do the things you do in order to keep that libido high and that thing. Because I mean, your brain does control some aspect of that, but chemically speaking, in your body, they still play a big role. And now push back because I want to hear why you think differently.
I think that's a modern age problem. I think that's a 1900s moving forward problem because of all the preservatives and all the junk food and the unhealthy lifestyles that we're developing, causing that massive decrease in testosterone for men, estrogen for women, increased visceral body fat. I believe that's the culprit as to why we see the rapid decline as opposed to just natural. I think that, if you look at someone that's had a healthy lifestyle and been healthy, that their libido lasts well into their 60s naturally
Mhm.
without testosterone replacement and all that kind of stuff. I think that by eating all these sugars, processed foods, and chemicals and garbage that we're ingesting on a daily basis, it creates the paradox of like lower testosterone, lower muscle mass, lower sex drive, more mental fog, more mental fatigue, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. All these problems is directly related to the food that we eat.
Right.
Um, I know that personally, like I've experienced it, because I've gone through this yo-yo effect. I mean, it's like probably like on my fourth cycle now. And this I feel is going to be the cycle that breaks the mold because I'm not following any fad diets. I'm not trying to do anything outlandish. I'm just eating a diet that I can eat for the rest of my life. I'm not limiting whole food categories. I'm not cutting things out completely, except for like, processed sugar and as many preservatives as I can. I'm trying to eat as much fresh whole foods as possible and cut out as much of the processed foods as I can. Now I still enjoy some processed foods, but I've cut out a lot of the junk. And I've noticed a change in my, like when I drink something or eat something, I notice now it's a lot sweeter, even without natural sweeteners in it. And when I have something that has the added sweeteners, it's too sweet, like it's way too sweet, you know. So I think that's more the issue at play than just a natural progression. I think it's our lifestyle and our diet and our exercise that's creating this paradox of like low libido. Because let's face it, if you're not building muscle and maintaining muscle mass, you're losing testosterone because muscle mass helps keep body regulated with testosterone. It increases testosterone production. So that's where I think the problem is. I think that's the issue. It's not so much your body getting aging, it's what we do day in and day out that's creating lower sex drive. I mean, think about it. Like if you eat like a healthy meal, like, 500-600 calories, and it's all whole foods, you're ready to have sex within an hour, after eating that, and you feel good. You've got energy, you're awake, you have drive. But if you say you go out to like, a Mexican restaurant and you eat 1,500 calories of cheeses and beans and, you just load up like like a lot of carbs
Okay,
for
you're gonna have a
spaghetti,
crash.
you crash and you feel like doing nothing. You just come home and you unbutton your pants on the car ride home and you're like, ugh, I'm so fat, and you like look at this belly, like it's not like, oh, look at me attractive. And then you're like, oh, I got to hit the toilet right away when I get home. And you have like, you know, upset stomach. And then the last thing you want to do is like, jump on each other because
So
you're feeling like crap.
eat whole foods, unzip pants way home, and say, "Get down here." Okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What's your thought on that? Like, have you noticed? Do you notice a difference between like where
Oh,
you choose, like when you go out on date night? Like, if you go to like, if you go out and have like a calorie heavy dinner, like Italian or Mexican, like what's the probability of you having sex when you come home as
oh,
opposed to
0.
going to a
If we go,
steakhouse and have a steak?
we have a standing rule in our house, and it's real simple. If it's Mexican night, there is nothing happening. Period. Just because of what you said. Number one, because of the older you age and the more you don't eat right. Like my wife eats horrible. She just does. I tell her all the
Yeah,
time. So it's nothing that's not known. I'm not making fun of her because she's her own person, but I just choose not to eat like that anymore. So if I know she's going to
right.
make something shitty, or have something to eat that's maybe not be right down my corridor anymore, now I just pull out like a package of green beans and I pull, things
Right.
out that I can steam in 3 minutes and I have a nice side item versus having macaroni and cheese. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Right.
So I've decided to take an alternate path for myself, and then maybe she'll make that change. She may not. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But Yeah, there's certain foods that I definitely, when I eat them, I feel 100% better than eating something that makes me feel like shit. And usually, like you said, it's something heavily processed, things of
Right.
that nature. Now, circling it around to back to where we started with the love language, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And or the lazy, not love language, but the love laziness.
Yeah.
Uh, so with the laziness of relationships, and again, I think that boils down, that kind of goes in hand with that, because if you don't have a healthy lifestyle when you eat, and then you become complacent in your relationship, because what are you being? You're being lazy. When you're done stuffing your face like that, like you just said, you want to sit down on the couch, open your means, oh my god, I'm so fat. You're not gonna have sex like this Andy guy or whatever, the bald dude, which
Yeah.
honestly, between you
Andy
and I
Elliott.
can't fucking stand his videos, but that's just me. But hey, it works for him. So I just don't.
Sometimes he
It,
gets me fired up. I'm not gonna lie, because sometimes a lot of the stuff he's intense, but I admire the intensity. I do, because it's
I can admire that, but in my,
and
and again, I don't want to just go off to, we can talk about that off air, but
right.
he just comes across really douchey to me. So I just,
Yeah.
so it's a tough pill for me to swallow.
Yeah,
I mean,
we can talk about it
I
on
see
another
enough
we
douchebags
can
as
talk
it
about
is
that on
during the
another
day, so
episode.
I don't. So,
Yeah.
but that being said, getting back to the laziness in a relationship, I believe another one is not listening to the other person's concerns and needs, and it makes them lazy. Uh, and then when you do too much for that other individual, that it creates an atmosphere of laziness, because it creates that complacency. So I think it really falls back on the individual person too, whether it's male or female, uh, to to see it, identify it, and it boils down to one thing for me as of late, and something that I completely neglected probably for the last 30 years of my relationships, whether it was my first wife, my second wife, you know what I mean, or anybody
Right.
I dated in between. It really boiled down to my lack of communication, explaining my feelings, because I felt like if I did that, if I didn't, if I had my conversation, I was going to hurt their feelings, and then I was, you know what I mean, and then, or I was afraid of losing the relationship, and I'm just not doing it anymore. I'd
Right.
rather lose my relationship and remain who I am, whether it's with a friendship or my wife. I'd much rather stay true to who I am than to be something I'm not
Mhm.
anymore. And I totally was dodging that shit for the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, you should always be true to yourself.
Yeah, but I haven't done that. I hadn't
Yeah.
done that until just like recently. And that's just the God's
You
honest
should
truth, people.
you should always be true to yourself, but you also have to deal in the realm of grace and empathy.
Correct.
So you have to realize what the other person's going through too. And then you also, as a man, one of the things, my biggest problem is I realized I have like a white knight syndrome where I want to come in and save the day for somebody else. I want to prevent them from going through pain and suffering.
That's okay too.
No, it's not. It's horrible. It's
Well,
extremely
it depends
horrible.
on the person, how they respond to it.
No, it doesn't. You know why? Because you're robbing the person of their ability to be their own hero. If you're constantly coming in and saving the day, you are setting them up to be dependent, to think less of themselves, to think they're not capable because they have no they're not getting any challenges. And without challenges, you don't grow. And without growth, you're stagnant and you end up dying,
Okay, so when is a good
internally
time to step in?
when they ask for help.
Ah, okay. So you're waiting for the cue of I need help.
Yes.
Okay, well, I need help, a lot of help.
I mean,
Just kidding.
as opposed to just doing it and
That I
doing it
agree.
for
No, no, no,
them
I agree.
or
Now that you
trying to come in
clarified,
and save them, let them flounder, let them figure it out. I'm not saying that like, if they're in harm's way and their death is imminent and you have the ability to
you're
prevent them
like,
from
nah, we're good.
dying, don't take action. What I'm talking about is the day-to-day challenges of life, you
Right.
know?
No, it
Let
makes
them
sense.
figure it out. Let them ask for help, because you're stealing their chance to be their own hero.
Right.
And that's something I realized I did a lot. Like, I just want to make everyone around me their life so easy that I put a lot of burden on myself and a lot of pressure on myself when it's not helping the relationship. It's because it's making them a dependent, not an independent. So
Well said.
that's part of the problem. I think that,
No, now that you
that's what I
clarified,
have.
makes total sense.
Yeah.
Now your clarifications there made total sense, because I was like going, okay, so you're just sitting back in the reins and letting them just fall flat on their face, or you? But you made a good point when you said they need to ask for help,
It's
because.
like,
But what about the
go ahead.
person that maybe doesn't want? Maybe what about for your wife or your friend or coworker, your business partners, don't know how to ask you for help? How do you see that visual cue? I guess that's the
Um,
big secret, huh?
no, that's where it would, if you see them floundering continuously on the same thing, that's where you step up and say, "Hey, do you need some help?" Or
Okay.
when they come to you and they're voicing their frustration, is, you can ask a simple question: "Do you want my advice, or you just want me to listen?" Because
Like
sometimes
it.
people just want you to listen. Like, they just need to get it off their chest, but they don't want you to actually do anything. They don't want you to
Right.
fight their battles.
Boy,
So
isn't the love languages and the complacency scenarios, they all fall into these realms where it comes down to what I've been saying all along, is communication
yeah,
and picking up on those visual cues and things like you were
right,
just saying just a minute ago and clarifying. There's just so many moving parts,
right.
but that's just human emotion. Human emotion is a huge moving part of all
Oh, of
different
course.
directions, of all different directions.
You
So
know,
yeah.
what struck me as odd, not odd, but I can't remember where I read it, um, because I read so much and I don't retrain who says what, but it was striking to me that everything that we see and how we interact is not the real world. It's just how we perceive our world. Like, what I see can be completely different than what you see.
Mhm.
Based on how your eyes absorb the light, how they process it, how they transfer it. That's why there can be differences in like color spectrums for people. I mean, it's
Mhm.
going to be similar because we're all genetically linked and we're
Right.
all common ancestry. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of similarities. But how I hear things, how I see things, how I feel things, how things taste to me,
How you interpret?
all of that is unique to me. When I walk through grass, my sensation might be slightly different than your sensation.
Correct.
When I taste a food, my taste might be slightly different than your taste.
Yeah,
Now
something
there's
you
going to be
enjoy and I don't.
exactly, there's going to be commonalities. We can both agree like, okay, this tastes like a banana, but that's because we both agree that this is a banana. But if we sit down and start talking about the flavor profile, it might be slightly different. Like, I'm getting a hint of more sweetness. You're like, I'm getting a little hint of, something different. Like, it could be variations. And that's why I think it's funny. Like, one person can try something and be like, I love this. This is amazing. And another person tries it and spits it out and says, this is absolutely disgusting. And that's what makes the world unique. It's the same thing with visual cues. Like, you can look at one thing and be like, that's amazing. Another person look at it and be like, that's not amazing at all. And it's funny, because it's all up to your personal interpretation with the inputs that you're getting in, bombarded with. So
I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't let that one go past. I can't let the banana comparison taste go by. I was like, were my eyes closed or open? I was wondering why
I
you made me
knew
close my eyes, and I thought bananas peeled, they didn't zip. So I was just wondering why you made me
it's a new
now
breed of banana. It's a breed of
making sense.
it's a new breed of banana. They come in a banana hammock.
Yeah, it's all making sense now to me.
Mhm.
Speaking of making sense, it's time for us to get the hell out of here. Listen, guys, we hope you enjoyed the episode today. Don't forget to head over to thedailybm.com where you can check out all our socials and get a banana hammock test. I don't know, whatever it is, but don't forget to head over to YouTube and Rumble. Follow us over there as well. There's that way you can see our pretty little mugs. Mikey, got anything before we get out of here?
Hey, I want everybody just to have a great day and remember to have some empathy and grace for those around you. And just go out there and have the best day you can have.
Awesome. And live your best life. Live your best life for sure. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.
Have a good one.
Deuces.